Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at HIMS and HERS held. It is time for another update, and I was actually going to update this stock today anyway, but I even got a request, so I just wanted to remind you that anyone can make these requests and I will most likely cover them, especially if there is an actionable trade setup to follow. Now today we will be discussing about the further downside that we have received finally on this chart. Now this is no surprise, this is what we have been mainly tracking in our main interpretation. This is the yellow scenario and we were looking still for another low within the wave C, especially since we failed to break above the resistance area sustainably. We just got a few weeks above it, but then a larger, wider market trend down has started, and this chart was no exception. But honestly, this was no surprise, and we were talking about this in the previous videos. We were focusing on continuation to the downside based on the lack of a bullish structure forming to the upside in this area. Now, before we get to discussing the shorter time frame, I want to go quickly through the larger time frame for any of you who might be new. And here we are still tracking the same interpretation where we are looking for a larger 5-wave move to the upside in a leading diagonal. Then here in the shorter time frame we have a 1-2 setup. Then we are tracking internally a larger wave 3. Now within this wave 3 to the upside we are also expecting an ABC structure to occur. It is, as I just mentioned, a leading diagonal forming after all. And within this wave C, we have so far formed a 1, 2, 3. We are looking here at a fourth and now a fifth wave that would be expected to form once again an ABC structure, because internally this wave C is as well an ending diagonal. Now other interpretations are possible, but for me at the moment this is probably the most likely. And within this wave C anyway, in the fifth wave we are looking here at a 5-wave move to the upside that has formed in this wave A, and as long as we hold this support area for a wave B, it is a very likely interpretation regardless of what has happened previously. Now as long as we hold this area between the $46.7 all the way down to the $30.3 at the 78.6% retracement, we don't even really need to worry too much about the larger time frame. But if we break that, it would actually be a pretty good sign, a pretty good warning that this movement, this pattern is not going to hold, and that we should watch out for the larger 61.8% retracement, because a break below that would pretty much invalidate the larger time frame scenario, at least this internal structure that we are tracking within the wave 3. Because we would need to shift to a different scenario, since in this wave 4 we pushed to the limits of the support zone, even breaking below it a couple of times, but we still managed to recover decently quickly and form this initial 5-wave structure to the upside. Now in the internal structure here we have been looking for a possible internal 1-2 setup, even with the structure that has developed, and no surprise, it hasn't held. It did have the chance, of course, it could form an ending diagonal within the wave C in yellow to the upside. That is not a problem, but the probabilities just weren't there. It was preferred that we form an additional low, because in this first move to the downside, we have a 5-wave structure, we got a 3-wave structure up, and then we were expecting with high likelihood, especially as long as we were below the resistance area, to form an additional 5-wave structure to the downside. And yes, so far we did push lower, and I even provided you internally this area of resistance that would have indicated to us a possible break of this structure. Now we were looking to form an entire 5-wave structure directly to the downside, but it seems that after pushing slightly into this resistance area we fell below. This was no surprise, but then we continued in this downtrend, and it seems we got an extension where I would probably need to consider this movement to the downside only, what has happened here within the count, only within this 1-2 instead of this entire movement. So we have here probably a 1, 2, 3, 4th. This wave 4 was probably a triangle as well, and then a 5th wave down, in which case, well, I would only really consider this an internal wave 3. And we can now shift the interpretation where we probably have a series, a couple of 1-2 setups in this area, 1 2 1 2 1 2, then this a third, fourth, fifth, and here possibly another fourth, fifth. Now this would be my preferred interpretation for the idea of an impulse, and in that case we can shift the count to allow for the larger wave tree to be tracked from this point. Yeah, here a large wave tree, and then a fourth wave correction here, and a fifth wave that at this point seems to still be ongoing. Yeah, that is preferred. Yeah, we have internally within this fifth wave to the downside also a 5-wave structure that we expect, but it seems to be unfolding within an ending diagonal pattern, in which case I would be watching out for resistance here for a wave 4 correction, because I only really see 3 waves down, and I would be watching for resistance between the $41 level all the way up to the $43.8 level at the 61.8% retracement. Now, within this area, I do see it possible that it could unfold within other interpretations, even within an ending diagonal overall within this wave C. Yeah, at the moment, I do prefer the idea of an impulse forming, and in that case, I could look at this as a 1, 2, 3, 4th, and the 5th, but I would be expecting possibly an ABC pattern to unfold within this 5th wave to the downside, and in that case I do have to allow it to push a little higher in terms of pushing into resistance before really considering a likely bottom to being formed, and in that case I would need it to break above the 78.6% retracement, the $46 level. And in that case, if we manage to break above that, this move to the downside is likely over. Already a good sign would be breaking above the 61.8% retracement. This is not necessarily my preferred interpretation, what we have here in terms of resistance in the white scenario. The count doesn't line up too well. It could work out, but not preferred for me. And now before we close up, I do want to mention, and yes, we did get a lot of downside. We did push lower and lower even than what we expected in an initial 5-wave structure down. But honestly, from a larger time frame perspective, we were looking, and I did provide this to you in the previous videos as well, we were looking for an ideal target for the wave C at the 100% extension of the wave A. That is at the $37.9. It is still not reached, so there is no reason to panic at this point that this larger structure in an AB movement will not hold. We still have a lot of room, and we haven't even reached the ideal target. Now, I do want to mention, we don't need to get there and we don't need to stop there, but it is not reached. There is still room. So for me, honestly, the plan remains unchanged. We are still looking for a low in this area. I could see also further extensions working out to the downside, but honestly, for now, we have the critical resistance areas that can allow us still to push lower without extending this into something much more bearish. And for now, these are the levels. This is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what else you want me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.